I know what it says. You'd be like, yeah. And you go start reading the Torah, you go off the chain. It's going to be off the chain. Let me see here. Hallelujah. Wow. All right. So here we go. All right. Let's go ahead and let's get started in our series here. Share my screen with you all. All right, cool. Here we are. So what we have here is you're going to be at your 259th word, 259 vocabulary words that you have access to. You know, you're going to know about how to say evening. It's right there. Boquer, you know, not Beaucaire, Boquer, right? The Kodesh, you know, the Takath and the Shabbat. Ignore the Jewishness of the information. They put this OS on here when there's no OS right there. They're trying to transform it. It's Shabbat. Okay, Shabbat. All right. Kayim, Shamayim, you know, Kiddesh, the Kila, and the Kaya, all these different words. Right. So those are your vocabulary words. You should have 259 underneath your belt. Good stuff. And guess what, you guys, what I'm discovering is that, hey, once you learn these words and you start reading it, it's just amazing. It just comes to you. You only have to look at it a certain amount of times before you accept it. You know, like Ola, you already know that's a burnt offering, right? This is just what it is. So at first, when I came into the Hebrew language, I was worried like, oh, I'm going to remember all these words. Well, the more I read them, the more they stick with me. That's the name of the game. The name of the game is reading and repetition over and over and over and over again. That's what the Most High has allowed us to understand about even the Torah portion. The more you read it, it comes to you over and over. And that's why we go through cycles. There's 3 rules that they have here in this last lesson. But the best part about this is today, we're only going to go over rule number 30. I'm not going to deal with the missing words because it's not that significant. So we're going to forget this. I'm going to send you information. You can read it. I don't like what they said, you know. Rule number 32, the deduct, I don't even want to get into that. Okay. So, you know, the bottom line is we're only going to go over rule number 30, which has to do with numbers. And numbers, of course, you're not going to get all of it today. What you're going to do is you're going to look at it, and I'm introducing you to it so you can kind of familiarize yourself with it. Okay. So let's start off with this. There's a rule. There's 5 rules that have to do with numbers. And so we're going to go through those things. All right. You've heard these numbers before, but you probably have never seen them. Don't worry about it. What they're trying to tell us is that the Hebrew numbers come in 2 forms. And those 2 forms are going to be the masculine and the feminine. Okay. That's what the 2 forms is. Okay. So the masculine ones, they have the way that they say it. Feminine, she says it the way that she says it. When you're dealing with a feminine noun, are you describing something feminine? You have to use a feminine number. Because the numbers, they act like adjectives. Okay. So as you can see, a cod is for the male. A woman should, when she's talking, she should never say a cod unless she's addressing a male. Okay. If you're talking about a female and it's a koth, you have that tav on the end. So they're going to tell us some rules about numbers 1 and 2. The rules for number 1 and 2 is this, is that please note that the feminine numbers both have a tav in them. For example, when they're talking about is the feminine. Someone wants to get in. Oh, there's our Akoti Renee. Come on in, Nene. Let me see. Clear. Let's get Renee in class. All right. So what they're talking about when they say that it has a tav in it, it means that these 2 numbers right here have a tav in it. The one right here and the one right here. That's what they're saying. There's the tav that's involved in this one. Okay. Over here in the masculine, you don't see it. That's all they're telling you. All right. So it says it's consistent what you learn on page number 6 about the tav is a sign of a feminine word. Something you will remember sometimes, and sometimes you won't remember. It just depends. Okay. What else do we know? Okay, so that's for rules from numbers 1 and 2. That's the only rule for that. Okay. Numbers 3 through 10 are amazing. Why are they amazing? They're simply telling you that the names for the numbers 3 through 10 are exactly the same. The shin, the lamed, and the shin, lamed, shin. The aleph, the resh, the bet. The aleph, the resh, the bet. The kaf, the ket, and the mem, the ket, and the mem, and the shin. Excuse me. The shesh and the shesh. What am I saying? Shesh. It's the shin and the shin. I'm saying the word. 3 letters exactly the same. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Exactly. 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 But there's only one difference, which is interesting, or what they say that's amazing. In the masculinity of these words or these numbers from 3 to 10, you have this. You got the ah on the end, and that would tell us that it was feminine. But here's an exception. That's the bottom line. So when you hear shalosh, that's feminine. When you hear shalosha, that's masculine. So that's the only flip on it. That's what might confuse you a little bit, because the ah represents femininity. But in the numbers, it's attached to the masculine 3 through 10. Okay. So what you have to do, what I did, is when you want to know what these numbers are, or how, you got to practice them. So you just say them, shalosha, arba'ah, kamisha, shisha, shiva, shamona, tisha, or asara. Okay. Here is eser, shamoneh, not shamona, shamoneh, sheva versus shiva. See? So you have to familiarize yourself. So it's a matter of practice. That's basically what it is. So you see some difference, but what they're trying to tell us, they're just trying to let you know that there's masculine and there's feminine. Easy. Okay. When the numbers, it says, how does the Torah use these numbers? Okay. And it says when these numbers are used with nouns, they're generally, they have to match. Like masculine nouns will get the masculine numbers. Feminine nouns will get the feminine numbers. Easy. Okay. And sometimes they appear before, like if you're going to have the number, it will come before the noun, but sometimes they can also appear after the noun. Yeah, well, why did that close out? And here's some examples. I'm going to send this to you, so don't worry about it, okay? Here's your example. They're letting you know it can come before, it can come after. So, the anashim, which are men, and then it got kamisha, 5. Then it might say kamisha anashim. It can go either way. 4 women. Nashim are women, and arba is 4. Or it can be arba, 4 women. Arba nashim. See? So it could go either way. It could go before, or it can come after the noun. Same thing with the 8 horses and the 10 mares. Same thing. Okay. You see, but it has to match. Okay. It has to match. So when we look at this, like look at number 8. You and I would automatically think, oh, that's feminine because it's an ah on the end. But according to what we learned, that the numbers 3 through 10, they have that ah on the end. Okay. On the masculinity, right? So you would say, well, that's masculine. How do we know that's masculine? How do you know this word right here is masculine?
The eem at the
end. There's no hey at the end of it.
Yes, it's the yod and the mem. Perfect. Okay. How do you know that this word is feminine?
At the end.
Yes, it's the oath right there. Okay. So we know that. Okay. So we know those things. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Number 11 through 19. So they're going to tell you how that happens as well. All they're saying that they're doing is they're going to add the number 10. So if you know how to say 10, right? In masculine or 10 in feminine, all they're going to do is put that number in front of it. And then you got 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Example in number 11, the masculine name for one would be a cod. For a female, it's a koth. Okay. That's based on memory. Now they say to say 10 is esre. Esre. Esre is here. Esre. Okay. Over here, it's a, right? I can put either H or I can put a W, depending on how I want to say it. Asar. So esre and asar. Okay. For men, it's 10. So what I would do is I remember and I memorize asar. And I know that sounds, I'll make asar a friend of mine. And asar sounds like a what? It sounds like a male. That's how you got to look at this. You got to hear the sounds. Esre sounds like a female. You see, Esre. So make Esre your feminine friend. Make her female. Be like, hey, remember your
Oh,
friend
there's no
Esre?
sound.
Huh? What did you say, Aki? Huh? Can you hear me?
Yeah, he said there was no sound, but I can hear you.
Okay. So I don't know, it's probably the internet. But anyway, make these your friends. So from now on, starting today, you have a friend named called Asar. Make him masculine, Asar. And he's your friend. And he's what? He's 10 years old. And here's Esre. She's 10. Okay. Make them twins. You understand? Figure out a way to make it make sense for you. Because other than that, all you're going to be doing is like, I can't remember. I can't remember this. I can't remember that. But I guarantee if you make these words into people, it'll stick with you longer. So make friends of the words. You understand? So that's how you begin to have more friends. And if you're like me, only friends I have are Hebrews. They're Hebrew letters and Hebrew names. Okay. Basically, that's what it is. So you would just take Shanim, Asar, and what is that? That's 12. And that's masculine. Okay. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions about that? That's the only way you're going to remember it. Because if you make them into somebody, if you make it real, okay, you'll remember it. But if you don't make it real, you'll just forget it. It means nothing to you. It's just another name. Okay. Here's something else. There are some other examples that they got up there. How they're using it, of course, so you'll go through that. Numbers 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, all the way through 90, etc. All right there, okay? Based on memorization, okay? So what is, they said 20 is the number 10 with the eem on the end of it, okay? So if you know that 10 is the number that established the SRIM, because here it is right here, okay, then what you do is, that's masculine, right? You would know all the eames on the end here are masculine, all of them, okay? So you would establish it that everything from 20 all the way down to 90, you're going to have a masculine ending. You just have to accept it, okay? That's what you have to do. But you would know that if I just took the eam here, make the eam 10, because you got shalosh. What is shalosh? 3. So it's 3 tens. You got the eam here, which is 10. Then you got arba right here. Arba is 4. That's 4 tens. Kamish, right? Kamishin, right? That's 5. So you look at it and say, oh, that's 6 tens. Sheva, 7 tens. Shemona, 8. And then Tisha or Tishi, 9 tens, basically. So your eam on the end of the 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 are going to be the tens. That's all it is. You're multiplying everything by 10, and that's what makes it easy, okay? Because everything works in tens. Give me does anybody know about the numbers, like, for example, Aleph? Do you know the number of Aleph? What's Aleph?
Is it 1?
Yay! What's bet?
Two.
Yeah. What's Gimel? Aleph, Bet. What?
Three.
Yes. What's Dalit?
4.
Hey.
5.
Yes. Wow.
Six.
Yeah. Wow, Zion, right? Zion. What is that?
7.
Yeah. Chet.
8.
Follow me. Tet.
9.
Yeah. And then Yod is what?
10.
10. Now it goes from this and it jumps from the Yod to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and then it has 100 and 100, and then 200, then 300, and then 400. Right? So if you know your Hebrew alphabet, the next number right here would be what? A Kaf. Right? And then the Lamed will be 30. Kaf, Lamed, Mem. Oh, look, I wrote an M. Mem, Noon. Noon is 50. Samak, that's 60. Ayin, 70. What is 80? Samak, Ayin, what? Pay, 80.
Bay.
Yeah, there you go. Zadi, 90. What's 100? Huh? Kof. Yes. What's 200?
Resh.
Oh boy, somebody's on it. 300.
Shin.
And
Shin. And 400.
Tav.
Tav. There you go. So when you read the Hebrew scrolls, which you're going to find, they don't use these numbers to tell you where to go inside of a Hebrew scroll. They use letters to tell you what chapter, what verse, and all that kind of stuff. So if you know your numbers, you put it together, and it has significance. It really does. It really does. Okay. It tells you how many days, like, for example, I think Har is like, Har is the pregnancy or this number for pregnancy or something. But anyway, numbers mean things. Okay. They literally mean things, not only from an agricultural perspective, but they also mean things from a numeric perspective. Let me see. All right. So those are just something I wanted to show you as well. All right. So these are things that you should memorize, but you don't have to spend all month and night and all this kind of stuff on it. Just when you're reading the Torah, go to thebiblehut.com or go to sefaria.com and read these things. Okay. And you'll be like, whoa, I get it now. It's just a matter of, spending time with it. They tell you here's some examples on more numbers with, more than 19, 50 men, 50 women, 60 days, 40 horses, and 80 mares. And they have to match. Okay. So what do you have here? As you notice, you'd be like, well, that's a female. That's a Susa. That's feminine. So why do they got the Shomanim? Because that's the rule. The rule is anything in 20 through 90 has the what? The Yod and the Mem on it to let you know it's the 10 times whatever this word is. That's it. Easy. Okay. Shishim Yom. Okay. So you just got to match up and see what it is. Now, are you going to always remember it? Of course not. You got to spend time with it, basically. That's all it is. It's a matter of timing. Okay. Just going over the basics. Okay. So you see here again, they're going to tell you what these other numbers are, 21, 22, and all this kind of stuff, right? 1, put the 1 in front of the number, So here it is. It'd appear two ways. Either the number will come before the plurality or after. So in our case, in 21, how would you say it? Somebody say that.
Echad V Sarim.
Okay, so somebody's on it, right? But let me help you understand something. They told us this letter is a V. right?
Uh-huh.
In Hebrew, there is no letter V. There's no letter V in Hebrew. Okay, that's the Ashkenaz. What this letter is a wa.
Wa
That's a wa.
Esarim.
Yeah, so it's wa Esraim.
Wa.
Okay? So the wa is,
Esraim.
yeah, the wa is what? Somebody tell me what the wa represents.
Tent peg.
It's a tent peg, and it means to what?
Anchor.
Anchor. Thank you. Or join, right? So it's joining together, and it's also used what they would call as a conjunction. To, you know, you're adding one word to the next. So this is the reason why they're using this word, because it's a tent peg. So in this tent peg, they're connecting these two things together. That's why it's called Akkad wa Esrim, okay? Or wa Esrim, excuse me, wa Esrim, all right? Or you can say it the other way. Say it the other way. Here's the
With
other
the
way.
E?
Yeah. How you say it?
Oh, Esrim.
Esrim. Wa Akkad. Yeah.
Wav Echad.
Yeah, wa akkad. Wa.
Wa
Real quick.
akkad.
Yeah. Yeah, wa akkad.
Wa,
Yeah,
oh, wa.
akkad.
Wa.
Yeah.
So we shorten the wa here.
Yeah, we shorten the wa, right? We shorten it because these two dots right here, a schwa is really a it's real quick. It's
okay,
really
so,
fast. Yeah, what yeah,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, esrim wa akkad. What akkad. So you don't spend a whole
Wa,
bunch of time with
wa
it.
Akkad.
Yeah, what akkad. And that is if you're
Okay.
talking about masculine. Yes, excellent. Feminine. How you say that?
Feminine. Echat.
Uh-huh.
Wa. Esarim.
Yep. Esrim. Uh-huh. Esrim.
Asrim.
Yeah,
Esrim.
esrim. So these two go together because this is one pronunciation. That's one syllable. Okay. And that's because you got the three dots, which is the short vowel, and this right here is a non-vocalic. So you don't have to, when I say non-vocalic, I'm talking about there's no vocalization on it, right? So there's a non-vocalic. And that's because this has a short vowel. And that's another grammar class, right? But since it's short like that, you don't have to say essa. You don't have to say essa. You just say s.
S.
Uh-huh. So it's esrim.
Esrim.
Esrim. Uh-huh. So akath, esrim. I heard that the hard T sound, if it is a hard tav, it would have a dot in it like this, but it doesn't have that dot in it. When it doesn't have a dot and it's a TH sound, as in the or the, okay, like it's a TH sound, okay? So it's not the, it's a TH sound.
Okay.
This-
Echat.
Yep, uh-huh, akath, uh-huh,
Like
akath.
Daffy Duck.
Yeah, akath. Yes. Akath. And
Echat.
there's a reason why it doesn't have this sound, because it's going to be preceded by another wa or something. There's a whole nother rule that goes the reason why, because sometimes you will see it with a dot in it, sometimes you won't. But they're letting you know there's two different ways that you can say it. You can say esrim, the wa, ekath, or you can say akat wa esrim, okay? When you're first learning though, I want you to take your time to say this wa, so people can hear it. Because if we say wa esrim, you won't be able to understand it. Slow it down. Wa esrim. Okay. Akat wa esrim. So get a little bit of a rhythm there and put some pause in between what you're saying. So there's some examples on how you say that. I always recommend sing it first and then say it. Reason why I asked you to sing it is because it extends it longer for you so you can finally understand it. Like instead of saying echad, right? If you don't really know how to say it, say ekad, and then speed it up. Ekad, 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 ekad. So you can get it. So when you say that, you're looking at those three dots for a long time. And so every time you see those three dots, you'll be like, ekat, and you hear, wa esrim, esrim, wa ekat, esrim. What? This is not wa, because why? The dot is on the side, so that gives you the U. Okay. So that's how you do it. All right. So again, masculine and feminine, the words are going to be different, but you just got to look for the little markers to tell you things about it, you know. Here's some examples again with 46 men, you know, or 48 men, excuse me. Shimona, the Autobayim, ish. Okay. Autobayim, the Ushamona, ish. Okay. The Sheish, the Wekamishin, the Isha. Okay. So let me say something and I want to see who catches it. I'm going to say one of these out of, you have 8 selections here. Okay. I'm going to say it and I want to see you follow me. I'm going to pick one and you tell me if it was on line 1, 2, 3, or 4. And this on this side over here is masculine and on this side is feminine. So I'm going to pick one and I want you to tell me which one did I say. And I just want you to say what I said. Tell me what it is, number 3. And if I said 3, then you say 24 months. If I say 1, then you say 48 men. Here it is. Arba'a wa esrim kodesh.
3, 24 months.
Somebody. Was it masculine or feminine?
Masculine.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna speed it up a little now. Arba'im ushamona ish. Arba'im ushamona ish.
Oh, male.
What did I say?
48 men.
48.
Huh?
48 men.
48 men. Was it masculine or feminine?
Masculine.
Masculine.
Feminine.
Yeah.
Arba'im
Oh,
ushamona.
Arba'im. Okay, it's feminine. Oh.
Okay. So listen, remember, I'm just speaking it. So follow along. So when I say arba, the first thing that you need to look for is this. That's the first thing you need to look. I say arba, you need to look for a bet and you need to look for a resh. Arba. That's
Mhm.
the key. That's what you need to be looking for. Okay. Let me make one a little more not difficult because it's still here. Tesha. Fishing. Susa. Tesha. Watishim. Sa.
4, 99 mirrors masculine.
Mhm.
Yeah, there you go. You understand. So you might ask yourself, well, that's a female horse, but here it is. The Watishim. That's that 90. And then the Tesha is what? The 9. So this is the number 9 right here. And this right here is adding that to that. So that's that 90 that you don't see in there. And then the Susa is this female horses. Now, how do I know that it's horses versus one horse? Why does it say horses? What in here told me that it was plural?
Is it the aim?
Yes, it is. Congratulations.
Say again. What makes it plural?
Yes. This makes it plural. You see, because it's describing not 9 singular. Okay. Once you brought this eam in here, it introduces it, even though this is identified as 1 singular, is letting you know that these horses are plural. Okay. Just like Kodesh is not, and they're going to explain this rule in a second. Kodesh is not 1 month. In this in particular word here, it's months. This is what adds the plurality. That's what adds plurality to whatever. These right here, one man, it didn't say 48 man, it said 48 men. It didn't say 56 woman, it said 56 women, not 24 month. It says 24 months. And mares, you understand? And they're all saying the same thing, but differently. These here are exactly the same. It's just speaking it differently. One is Tishim wa Tesha Susa. This is Tesha wa Tishim Susa. So if you're talking masculine, that's what it would be said if a man was saying it. If it's feminine, she would say this. And how do you know that this over here is feminine? It's not just by the mares here, okay? Because right here is a mare too, but a man is speaking about it. And he has an eem on here, which is masculine. But of course, you know that anything from 20 to 90 is going to have the eem, which means 10 times whatever that number is in front of it. Okay, so that's something you have to familiarize yourself with. Good job for everyone on that. Not a problem. Not a problem. Just getting used to it. All right, so here it is. Numbers 1, 200 to 300, etc., all the way down to 30,000. Woo, that's a lot. But look at the easy part. Look at the easy part. It's not hard. This means 100. That's all you got to remember. Practice that. Mea. That's all you got to practice is mea. There's mea right here. Here's meoth. Here's meoth. Here's meoth. Here's meoth. It's all the same. Okay. On 100 is mea. Everything else is meoth. So this is the only exception. And all they did is put shalosh in front of it. Arba, which is 3. Here's 4. Here's 5. Here's 6. Here's 7. Here's 8. Here's 9. Then when they get to the 1,000, which would be a 10 times 100, then you would call it elef. And then it's going to go from elef to alafim. 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 You see? And then what they did, they add whatever that is, shalosheth and arba'ath, and then hakamesheth. Okay. And you know these here are what? The tav on the end lets you know that it's feminine. This here tells you it's masculine. So they're combined. So you can see how no matter it can also have a feminine and a masculine together. So that's another thing. It's not a trick. It's just the way it is. So just accept it and move on. Practice it. All right. So they give you the rules there. They got some notes there for you to go over. So you read those rules. All right. And they give you some examples. Now, numbers rule number 2. You see what rule number 1 was? Rule number 2, numbers 1 through 10. This is a rule for that number. We explained above that numbers 1 through 10 can appear before or after a noun, right? So you got the anashim, the shalosha, or the shalosha, the anashim. It could go either way. As you can see, I just said the same thing. I just reversed it. Now we're going to look at another way to use the numbers 1 through 10. They can actually put their number into what they call a semicoot. You know what the semicoot is? Does anybody remember? The semicoot? The semicoot is the two nouns that are next to each other. And the two nouns next to each other would always be the blank of. That's what it means. Okay. And so we can do this with numbers as well. And so they're going to explain to us some of the rules that apply to that. And if you notice, everything is about a rule. So let's get right into it. So the example that they're having here is shalosha, which is 3. In the semikuf, right? The form of the a at the end will turn into a tav. Again, they're doing a little switcheroo. So anything that ended in the a is going to go and turn into this now. It's going to have a tav on the end. So it's not going to be sholashah any longer. It's going to be sholasheth. So it goes through some type of transition as you would with any other semikuth. Okay. let me remind you about the Semicoot when it goes from that. So you have a word called, what is the name of that one? Oh. I don't want to use that word. I don't want to keep making it confusing. Let me just keep it simple. Therefore, this is what it would be for 3 men. Somebody tell me in here, what is the 3? What word?
Shoshet.
Yeah.
Shoshet.
Shalo. 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 Shalosheth.
Shalosheth.
Shalosheth what?
Anashim.
Anashim. Perfect. Shalosheth Anashim. Okay. And the reason why this has changed, and when you see this, you'll be like, oh, this is used to be Shalosha. So you already know off these 3 letters right here that is 3, but you
Right.
have to know that it went and it was changed. They just changed it. So you would understand, wait a minute, this is in what they call a Semicoot form. And a Semicoot form comes from the idea of putting 2 nouns next to each other, okay? And the 2 nouns next to each other are in a construct state. And so when 2 nouns are next to each other, it means the blank of, all right? So it's transferring. And this comes from the idea of putting your hands on the 2 goats, which I don't have time to go into right now. But anyway, they're going to let us know what these look like. Okay, so these are other rules. They can be in a Semicoot. So they got the masculine and they got the feminine. They got the normal, how it would look for, a cod for a man right here, or male. And then they have it here. It's the same, no changes. Why wasn't there any changes? Why there's no change right here?
It's perfect.
It's perfect, but also too, remember the Semicoot, if it ends in eem, it has to be changed to 2 dots and a yod. Remember that? So if I went from sons, that was my example that I was going to do. Here's my example. So sons are banim, just by itself. Okay, banim, that's sons. If I was going to make it the sons of, I couldn't go, ha banim. I couldn't say that. I'd have to change that to ba ne. Bane. So the transition went from the eem to the 2 dots in a yod. Okay. When you're changing something from so right here, you don't see anything because the letters don't make you, it's singular. There's singular here. This right here, the shanayim is plural. Okay. That means it's 2 of them. So anytime something goes into plurality, it changes from that, especially the yod and the mem, to the 2 dots and the yod. And you can see that right here. So this follows the actual rules of the Semicoot. So the Semicoot means you have to change it. So there's no change here because it's singular. But if it's plural has a plural ending like a yod and a mem, it's going to go to the 2 dots and a yod. Instead of it being the banayim of Misrael, it'd be called B'nai Yisrael.
Sons of.
Yeah, since it's Shanayim, it would be Shanay. Okay. But also too, it told us that the here, as you can see, because this is what this third is here, Shalosha, we would think Shalosha feminine. No, remember they switched it. It's masculine. That has to be changed. We get rid of this and put the tav. We get rid of this and put the tav. We get rid of this and put the tav. We get rid of this and put the tav. So you can see all the way down, it just gets rid of the hey and that, and it replaces it with a tav. Okay. Easy to remember, but just look at it. And when you do your reading, you'll understand it. Okay. Feminine. What happens over here? Same thing. It gets rid of this and it goes to the 2 dots and a yod. Okay. Shalosh, any change? No. Why is there no change?
Is it because it's singular?
It's singular, but also to understand this, there is no yod and no mem. There is no ah. Okay, so these are the two things that have to be changed. If it's have an M on the end, a yod and a mem, you got to be changed. If it's this on the end of a word, it has to be changed. If it's this right here, what letter does it have to become?
Tav.
Tav. Thank you. It has to become the tav. Okay. Period. That's what it, and that's a rule. So none, we don't have to understand it. Just note that that's what the rule is. If it is a yod and a mem on the end, and we put it in a semicoot, what does it go to? What does it change to?
Masculine.
Yep, but it goes 2 dots in a yod. So we got to get rid of this, and then it changes into this. And that's what the rule is. And you can find that, I think, on page, I think they said 66. All right, so those are some of the rules. And the reason why it's not changing in on these other ones is simply because it's singular, but also too, it doesn't have those endings. So there's no change there. There's no change whatsoever. So you don't have to memorize all that. Just understand if it ends in a yod and a mem, or it ends in this ah right here, it got to be changed. So for a majority of the male masculine numbers, they have to be changed. The feminine over here doesn't have to change except for one, which is right here. That's the only one that needs to change. Okay. And there's your examples. So go over those things. When you get this paperwork, go over it and read it and be like, okay, I get it. Are you going to remember it? No, you're not. You go take a little piece of it. That's why I'm going through it. Here, first, second, and third, there's rules. Here's rule number 3. They want you to know how to say it. So they give you a chart. So this is how you got to say it. Okay. And then they tell you there are some alternatives which are not listed in this chart. These are alternatives. And as you notice, let's just take the second one, for example. This one right here is Shaniya, right? So Shaniya is the second one. So what are they telling us? The alternative to the feminine up here, here's the feminine. It's called Shanith. But this right here is called Shaniya. Okay. Shaniya. So Shaniya and Shanith are just, they're the same, but they're an alternative form. So this can show up. That's what they're saying. That can show up in the Torah. Okay. But I thought it was nice because it always has Yah's name on the end of it. It has his name on the end of it. So you'll see that. So when you read it and you see something like, okay, well, why does it have Yah's name? Take a little harder look at it. Okay. And then of course there are these examples here about, oh, they wanted you to know that these numbers often too can act as adjectives. When you look at them, they can come, and usually with adjectives in the Hebrew language, they usually come after the noun. So you won't see an adjective, and they're going to give you an example. So here's the, when it talks about the 8th year, Hashanah, Shana means year, okay? Hashanah, the year, and then they tell you the 8th year. So if you notice something right here, it has a definite article, and this has a definite article. The word year is Shana. So why did they got a definite article on it? Because they're pointing directly to that year. And if that has a definite article on it, like a ha, then over here, this has to have a ha. They have to match, like Hashanah, Hasheminith. Okay, it can't just be Hashanah and then Sheminith. They have to match. And you'll learn that when you remember your adjectives. All right, so those are the rules that go along with that. So it's just a matter of memorization and just going over it, okay? That's rule number 3. Rule number 4, again, another box that's full of words on how you say half, third, quarter, fifth, sixth, a seventh, an eighth, a ninth, and a 10th. You just got to learn, and they give you some alternative forms. The one you're going to see most of is either you're going to see a quarter and you're going to see a half more than anything. And then also too, you will find these though inside of Yah's offerings, where he asks for certain offerings that it has to be a this or that, or this one too, has to be a third of this and, you know, a half of this and all that. So there are halves, seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, okay, tenths. And these are the words that are used here. What I look for when I'm reading, because I don't know everything, I always look for these words here. Okay, so all you see on the end of the divisions or the fractions, because that's what they are, they're fractions, you're going to see this yod and this tav a lot. Okay, you got to look for stuff like that. So if you see a yod and a tav, then you know that's in a fraction form. Okay, you see a yod and a mem on the end of it, is it in a fraction or what is it? What does the yod and a mem on the end on numbers have to deal with?
Oh, multiple?
Yes, it's the 10 times. Okay. So I'm trying to help you understand that you got to look for certain codes so you don't get confused. Because when you look at this, you're like, man, look at all these words and all these letters and all that. And that could get confusing. You got to break it down. So the breakdown on this is the yod and the tav. That's what tells you that it's in a fractional form. That's what it'll let you know. And basically, you would say, okay, it's in a fractional. And I know this has the shin, the lamed, and the shin again. So that's 3. I know that. So that's a third. And then you go, rava, or reshabin and an ayin. I know that's 4. So that's a 4th. Yeah, I got the yod in there, but don't worry about it. You already know what it is. Don't spend too much time. The only reason why you want to understand the yod in here is just for the sake of saying it. But to memorize it, look at the ends of things. Look at the pieces. If I got rid of this piece right here, what is it? Get rid of all this stuff right here. What is this?
6.
It's 6. Easy. Okay, I get rid of all this right here. Look, let me just get rid of this. What do I have?
7.
I got 7. You understand? So don't get confused with all these additional things that are added. Just train your eyes to look for stuff. Oh, I look at that. I know what that is. Oh, I know that sheva. Oh, there. Oh, that's the tav, a shin, and the ayin. Okay, I know that. And here's the ending. Oh, that's the percentage. You know what I mean? You understand? So start looking for the little codes. Look for those things that you can familiarize yourself. Otherwise, you're going to get frustrated. You're like, man, this is a lot to read. I can't remember all this. So what I've learned is that it's not about remembering all this. All it is breaking down and dissecting it, which you would call parsing, which you're going to learn in our verb series. That's the reason why I can read and I understand this stuff. It's not because I know every last one of the words. It's because I know how to chop it down. So I'm trying to teach you how to chop and find ways to chop stuff. You understand? So once you learn how to chop it, you'll be like, oh, okay, I got it. You can kind of figure out what the sense is. Okay. So in our example right here, to tame. All right. So let's do some chopping right quick. All right. So here's the chops. So let's chop. Okay. We don't have to chop this. That's if. Your Hebrew vocabulary, the is if. Okay. If I say ki, what's ki? When. Okay, or for. What is this? That's a letter tav. What does that mean? By itself, what does it mean? Instead of beginning of a word, what does it mean? Is it first person, second person, or third person? Is it I, you, or us, or we? Who is it?
You.
It's you. Okay. I know that to tain here means to give. I know what that verb is. Okay. This right here is a preposition next to a letter called a yod. I know the lamed means what?
No.
2 or 4.
Oh, 2. That's right. 2.
Okay. Now the yod is what? On the end of a word, it means me. Okay. And the eth right here is an arrow pointing directly to this. Okay. So I know if I know my vocabulary, that's katsi. I know that's a half. Okay. And then I know here, this word right here, forget about all this. I know this right here is what? Baith. What's baith?
Daughter.
House.
A house.
It's house. Yeah.
A house. A bath without the yod would be a daughter. Good move, but it's still in connection to a daughter. She's like a house, but this has a yod in it. So that means house. And then the ka on the end is what? Possessive. Is it mine or is it yours or is it his or is it hers? Has a cough on the end. What is it?
Hers.
It's yours. Okay, so I got house. That's how you break it down. Okay, if you will give to me half a house, yours, half of your house. If you will, which is the tav, that's the you. The if is the im. Give, that's the natan that you don't see inside this word to. And then me right here, meaning to me, would be this lamed in this thing right here. Half. There is no word of. Okay. So a half. Okay. But they're saying of just to put it there, your house. Your house is Bethika. Okay. Easy. We're breaking stuff down. That's how you break it down. So the more you see it, the more you'll be able to dissect it. So when I'm reading, I'm breaking it down as I'm reading it. I'm not just saying it. I'm not just saying im tatain the lidi etikatsi, the betika. I got to know my vocabulary and I got to know my informatives. I got to know what this stuff is. I got to know that that's a noun. And I know this right here is a verb. And I know the person who's doing it is you, and it's future will. And I know my vocabulary is if, and I know this is to me, and I know this is direct object of half of what this is. Let's break out the second one. You guys heard me talk about kara today, did you not? Tell me the first letter, what is that? What's the first letter?
Wa.
That's a wa. Okay. So let's break it down. We know what that is and we know the sound, but what does it mean? Grammatically, and.
In, right?
And. What's the yod mean grammatically? He. What does kara mean?
Called.
It means call or read, to proclaim. That's what we talked about today in our Torah portion, in our presentation. Read, call, or like you said, call. It could be call or read. Okay, good. And the u on the end.
They. Multiple.
They. So you know the he here is talking about a masculine, and you know that it has to do with a group of people because of u on the end. So I know it's they. So the group that's masculine is recognized by this yod. That's how I know it's masculine. We got that down. And he, or excuse me, and they read. Okay. Where do they read? Let's break it down. Bet is a tent in its agricultural sense, but grammatically, what does it mean? What do you do in a tent? You can go in a tent. I could go in a tent. My vocabulary is safer. Forget about all this stuff. What is that?
House. No, school, right?
It's a school or a book. Okay. Then we have our feminine, right? Noun called a Torah. Okay. But it says not Torah, it says Torath. And why is it a Torath? Because it's the book of the Torah. So it's in a Semicoot form. It's in a Semicoot. And of course, they put here Hi and then Elohim, which is Elohim, which is they're not using Yah's name. They use Hashem. They're Elohim, which is a total disastrous thing that they've done. Then here, forget about this. And let's just talk about Rabbah. Forget about this. Get rid of all that. You know from Rabbah, what number is that?
4.
4. Now we know the Rabbah is 4 off of us looking at it. We know when we see this, it means a fraction. So it's the 4th. Okay. Now, ha, Hebrew means what?
The
Or the, and then what's yom?
days.
Day. You understand? So a 4th of the day. And here's the translation. And wa, they, that u on the end, kadra, be, hasefer, right? Torah. And then they got of, which is no translation. And they have Hashem, their Elohim, which we know is Yahweh, their Elohim, on a quarter of the Yom, the Hayom. Okay. So that's all it is. It's a puzzle. So when you get this, don't try to be Jewish. Don't try to be what they would call a Hebrew scholar. Just be a regular human being and break down the pieces to the puzzle like a kid. That's basically it. Rule number 5, which is our final rule, which would tell you how, like in our Torah portion, Moshe said that he was 120 years old, but he used this word bane. They're telling us in the Hebrew language to describe someone's age, right, of a male person, they're going to use a bane in it. They're going to use bane before they say the word, okay? If it's female, they're going to say bath, okay? So in translation, when Moshe said he was bane of, he said 120, so he said me'at. He said me'at esrim. Remember he said me'at esrim? Me'at. What's me'at? What's me'at? We went over it. 100. What's esrim? We know a
300.
sar is 10. So we'd have the eem on the end. So we know that's what? That's
1,000.
Yeah, that's
No.
200. Excuse me, 20. So I'm 120. Okay. That's why he said Maya. I forgot how to write it out, but Mayat Esrim. So he says, I'm Bane, and I'll show it to you in the text. He said, I'm Bane. I'm a son of. Okay. So when you describe the age, when you're talking about a male, you're going to use Bane. When you're talking about a daughter, you're going to be that. So what they're doing, which they're not telling us here, is they're giving recognition to them being a son of 120 years old. I'm a daughter of, you see, I just don't exist by myself. Someone brought me here. I'm a son of 120 years old. They give some examples here, but these examples are not true. They're just saying Abraham is 15. You know, they give you some examples on how to do that. But let me show you the text right quick in the Bible Hub so you can see it and recognize it. And in our class will be, I'm right on time. Praise the mighty one of Yahweh. Mighty one Yahweh. Okay. Don't ever leave the Bible Hub, not until you get really proficient. So Deuteronomy, this is how I learned. And you're going to learn the same way. Stay in Bible Hub. Chapter number 31. Moshe tells him right here in verse number 2. Okay. Let's break it down. He says, is this the reason why you should go here? And what letter is and?
Wow.
Thank you. What letter is he?
Yo.
Said.
Mar.
Amar. Thank you. That's it. You and I are going to learn about all this in our next lesson. We're going to get into the qual and all that kind of stuff. No worries. So that's beautiful. All right. So you broke that down. Next one. Okay. 2. Preposition. What part of this word is to?
Them.
Well, we're just dealing with 2 because 2 is the preposition. That's why there's this line right here separating preposition from third person masculine plural. What part of this word, what 2 letters are meaning to? Take a guess.
Aleph,
Think-
Lamed.
Al,
Yes, the
Aleph.
Aleph and Lamed. Yes, because in Hebrew by itself, so you can see they could take a preposition and add it to a plural ending and they could give you one word. So you and I would look at this and go, oh, that's Elohim. That's a whole nother word. No, it's not. It's a preposition with a masculine, third person masculine plural ending. They put prepositions together with the words. So when you look at this, once you learn it, you'll never tells you right here, there's a split. This little line right here tells you that there's a split and you got to look for it. That's why I say go to Bible Hub, because it'll teach you how to read Hebrew. It'll tell you where the splits are. It'll tell you how to say it. Right here, le, right there, haim, right there. That's how I learned it. I wanted to learn Hebrew so bad that I did this when I first started. Okay. I didn't feel smart, but I was like, well, at least I'm figuring out. I won't let nobody what I don't know. I won't let nobody know. All right. All right. So you got that done. Now, here it is. Here's our example. Old. They translate it as what? Bane. Okay. Here. All right. So let me ask you a question. What letter does this represent? What letter does this bet represent?
House,
Yeah, but what letter up here does it represent?
B.
sun.
There you go. It's the B, not the
Oh,
definition. B. What letter represents these three dots right here? Up here.
The E.
There you go. What letter represents the N?
The noon.
noon
noon.
Sophie.
There you go. You understand, right? So now you and I understand something. This is how you can train yourself to read Hebrew and to understand how it's all put together. Okay. Use the tools that you have. That's the whole purpose. A lot of people won't share this because they don't want you to know. I want you to know. Okay. So here it is. He said, I'm old. I mean, not I'm old, I'm a son. They're just using translating it as old, but use it as a son. I'm a son of what? The mem right here is
Mea.
what? There you go. Where's the other letter? What represents this E with this little dash over it?
The mem.
Those two dots. Okay. What's the ah with the line over it? What represents that?
Pata or ah.
There you go, right there. And guess what? The aleph is silent, so you don't have to have anything there. What's the next letter? The
A.
A. What's represented there? What letter?
Ah.
There you go. That H right there. You understand? So that's how it goes. So look, I'm color coding it for you to kind of know. Okay. That's how you do it. And you know, here it is, 100. Okay. What does this mean? What is this little sliver there called a makef? What does that mean? Something simple.
Direct marker.
Well, it means it's not a direct object marker, but it means that these two go together. That's what a makef is. A makef, you will see a makef, and what it does, it joins two words together. So I don't supposed to go bain and then mea. I'm supposed to go bain mea. I'm not supposed to go bain mea. I'm not supposed to say it like that because I have to connect it together. So I make it literally like one word, bain mea versus bain mea. I say bain mea. See, it sounds like one word, but I'm really saying two things. But that makef right here means that you join these two together when you say it.
So more. So it would literally be son of 100.
Yes, I'm a son of 100, but we can't forget that in our rule, you're going to add, you see a wa right here means and. So there's more than 100. Okay. So I'll say bain mea, wa esrim. That's that 20.
Yes.
That's right here. And that here is that plurality, which is a 20. The asar told me that it was 10. And then that right here tells me I multiply that 10 two times. So I know it's 20 now. Okay, I don't multiply, excuse me, I say it twice. So the Y is and then the S right here is the 10, but this makes it 20. See, so I'm 120. I'm a bain mea de wa esrim. Now, you know your vocabulary, shana. That would tell you what years are, okay? How do I know it says shana means year? How do I know it's years? What makes it years?
Im makes it years.
It makes it years, and it's the volume of it because you don't have 120 year, you have 120 years. You see? So I don't need a definite mark or ha-shana. I don't need that because it's already built into right here. Grammatically, it tells me right there that it's more than one. Okay. Anoki is a word that you will get, which is a pronoun for, I. They inserted am because you just can't have I by itself, but they just want to make it make sense to you. So, Elehim, the Bain Mea, the Ve Esrim, the Rishana Anoki. Anoki what? Hayom, this day. Article, definite. They don't have it in here. They don't say the, but they say today. But you know that this is the article right here, meaning the or the, or it can mean a direct line pointing to that day. This is the reason why I told you that this was Moshe's birthday, because they're pointing an arrow. They have a definite article on it, meaning this day, not a day, this day. And that's what that it is telling you. That's how I was able to let you know that that's his birthday. So on his birthday, the day of his 120th birthday, he delivers these words to them. Okay. And then you can do the math and know that, hey, I've been with you since he was 80, right? Because he spent 40 years in the wilderness with them. Okay. Lo called, meaning you are to never owed the late Seth or the lavo for Wayawadia Mardia Lai, the lo de ta avoradi et the Hayardin. I'm not going over. So that's what it is, you guys. Okay. So that's your lesson for today. And so you can see how that works. So the lessons that we learned today, you can actually apply it to when you're reading your Torah. And that's why reading the Torah is so important. Like this next one coming up, you have, chapter number 32, but it has I think 52 verses or so. So you go through your verses and you take your time and you go through it and you start looking at these words and you start, read it in English first so you can get what it's saying. Then go back and learn what these words mean. Now, this particular chapter will be very challenging because, as I told you, the words that are in here are not everywhere else in the Torah. They're only in this chapter, which is interesting. They're only in this chapter. Not like Tishmad or Ha'adrese or Merapi, none of that. But he's talking about Lirdolf and Kamartar and, to distill the dew and all this kind of stuff. And raindrops, none of that stuff is ever mentioned anywhere else. For real. I'm serious. So there's a great deal of words here that are never used anywhere else except for in this in particular song, which I find to be amazing. All right. So that's your lesson for today. We're done with chapter number 16. Congratulations, everyone. I'm going to send this over to you. Study it, read it, examine it, break it down, and treat it as a puzzle. That's all it is. These letters ain't nothing but puzzle pieces to a puzzle. And once you start doing a puzzle more, you'll be like, oh, I know what that piece is. Oh, I know what that piece is. Oh, I know what that is. Oh, I know what this is now. Okay, I added another piece to the puzzle. And that's all the rules are, to know when to put those pieces together and how to put them together. That's all it is. By the way, Akoti Kendra, I saw your video. I saw your video. Your video on Shemot chapter